In this third video of the series An Adult Life as a Child, we're going to explore the magic of failing. Because as children, what's beautiful is that failing is just what we do. I remember watching a video that my dad made of me when I was a toddler, and the video feels on one hand like a very sadistic experiment that he ran on me, but at the same time it's very much the only way we learn as kids. So in the video where you see me as a baby, and you see me crawl on the floor aiming for how's it called, like the thing that babies suck, you know, like one of those. And as soon as I'm about to reach it, my dad takes it and puts it another meter further, and you see me crawl and struggle through the getting through the floor, and then I'm about to grab it, and then my dad takes it and puts it in a little bit further. And so every time that I got close to achieving what I wanted, he would take it away from me and push it a little further and get me to continue on the journey. In the same way, there's a thing my dad used to do that my mom hated, which showed a very difference in our in the way my parents educated us. My father was all about teaching us to fail. And so one of the things that I remember was sitting at a dinner table, and we're eating watermelon. And so my dad cut sort of watermelon in big slices and gave everyone a slice, and then he went around cutting, you know, sort of the watermelon into little triangles, and then doing one big slice to get them all out in one go. Now I saw him do that, and I was like, hey, I can do this. So I was like, nah, I'm doing it myself. Took the big knife, and my dad was like, you're gonna cut yourself. And I was like, no, I'm fine. But I was like, are you sure? Because it really looks like you're gonna cut yourself. Do you want me to show you? I was like, no, I know how to do it. I don't need you to show me. And this is where my dad did something that most parents maybe wouldn't do. Which he said, okay, go ahead, show me. And so I did show him. I took the knife, I took the watermelon, and then went right through my thumb. I remember the pain. I remember the blood just dripping everywhere. And my mom turned around because she just walked to the fridge. That little interaction was the time that my mom walked to the fridge. And she turned around and she's like, what the fuck just happened? How is that kid bleeding with a big fucking knife when you, the father, is sitting just next to him and you're a doctor? Like, how did you let this happen? And I remember my mom sort of being really angry at that. And my dad was as calm and chilled as you could be. I always remember, he took the knife, put it on the side. He told me that it was okay. He took me up. We went to the bathroom. He cleaned my finger with water and soap. Then we went downstairs to get some alcohol. He put some alcohol on it, disinfected it, put a little bandage, then took me back to the kitchen table. We sat down, and he looked at me and he said, do you want me to show you how to cut a watermelon? And I remember that's all it was. He never told me off. There was nothing else there than him saying, do you want me to show you how to cut a watermelon? And I remember that moment feeling a deep sense of humility a deep sense of desire to learn. And I remember saying with real interest, genuine interest, yes, please show me. I want to see what I've done wrong. And he showed me how, one thing I did wrong is that I held the watermelon like this, instead of holding the watermelon like that, so that my thumb wouldn't be in the way. And so he taught me there a technical thing, which is don't put your finger in the way of the blade. Sounds very obvious. But ever since, I've been cooking all my adult life, and I've never really cut myself. I've never had a bad cut, because I've learned to be careful to the blade. I've learned how to put my fingers in a way that they're not in the way of the blade. But I wouldn't be making this video if that's what it was about. What I learned there, and what we can all learn from this way of teaching, is the power of failure. What I really learned, and what you can learn from this watermelon story, is that when you try to do something new, there is high chances you will fail. And when you fail, there are high chances that failure will be painful and will hurt. Now, when that happens, you don't worry about it. There's no reason to get worked up and anxious. What you do is that you calm down, you assess the situation, you clean the mess that you created, you disinfect and make sure that you don't leave any crap behind, you put a bandage, and then you... Sorry, I lost my train of thought. You put a bandage. Then you put a bandage, and then you look around for people who can do what you want to do better than you. And you observe what they do, and you learn from them. And then you try again, more slowly, more carefully, and you practice, and then you master something new. And you can do something you couldn't do before. And that's what I've grown to call the success of failure. What's interesting about this for me is that the success of failure turned out to be the very first talk that took me worldwide. So the very first time that I started giving international talks at conferences, the one topic that people wanted me to speak about over and over and over again was the success of failure. And so with that, we've got this interesting question, this interesting story of the archer. So imagine yourself at an archery range for the first time in your life. So the first time ever that you pick up a bow and arrow. You look at a target, you take your bow and arrow, you shoot, boom, goes right in the center. Bullseye. What do you think? I've asked these questions hundreds of times at events and got answers from thousands of people. Generally, the answer to this first one is, holy shit, I'm lucky, am I talented, maybe I've got a great skill, it's chance. So what happens is that everybody around the archery range is like, oh, well, look at that guy. First time bullseye. So people gather around you and you start to go for a second one. And so you shoot a bow and arrow, you shoot, boom, right in the bullseye. Center of the target. Now what do you think? It's the second arrow you shoot in your life, ever. And it's right in the bullseye. Now most people at this stage think, wow, I really have talent. Now this is not chance. I'm great. I must be really good at this. Okay, so you decide to test it and to figure out, what the fuck is going on. Third arrow. Third arrow you ever shoot in your life. You take the bow, you take the arrow, you aim and right in the center of the target, bullseye, third time. Now what do you think? And this is where most people think, yes, I am definitely fucking amazing at this. I'm talented, I'm awesome, I'm a born archer. That's the word I'm looking for. Hola. That third answer is where we get it wrong in our thinking. Because if you shoot 3 arrows for the first time ever in your life, and the 3 arrows hit the bullseye, you shouldn't be thinking, I'm great at this. Well, you can think that too. That's great also. Sorry, I don't mean that as a bad thing. It's great to think that. But there has to be another thought that follows, which is, am I shooting from too close? Am I trying from too close to the target? Because if you try something completely new you've never done before and you succeed the first 3 times, you're not trying hard enough. You're not challenging yourself enough. You're not pushing yourself far enough that you can learn something. And if there's nothing you can learn, you can't grow. And if you can't grow, it means you're stagnant. And that's the power of failure. So, if you shoot an arrow 3 times in the bullseye and it's the first time in your life you do it, the next thing to do is to walk back. To go away from the target all the way to the point that you shoot your arrow and you're out of the target. Now, that's the point from which you want to practice. That's the point for which you keep shooting arrows over and over and over again until you get into the bullseye. And then when you do, you continue walking back. You continue going further away. Most people don't fail much in life because they're scared to get hurt. Most of us don't fail things because we're scared of either the physical pain or the emotional pain or the pain to our ego of having to say, I fucked up. It didn't work. And none of us want to have to walk back to our friend, tail between our legs, saying, oh, I tried, it didn't work, it sucked. It does suck. And that's fine, because learning to appreciate these failures and to appreciate these moments as moments of humility, moments during which we can stop and look out and observe and learn from others. These moments are magic. They're beautiful. They're the biggest gift that you can get. So in the last few videos, what we looked at is the selves, killing selves, letting go of selves. Today, I'm inviting you to look at everything that you're not doing because you're afraid to fail, or you're afraid that if you fail, it would be painful, it would hurt you, you would lose something important. Start with that list. What is everything you would do if you couldn't be scared of failing? If failing couldn't be painful and wouldn't cost you anything? In my case, I can tell you one of the biggest one, probably the biggest one of my life in many ways, was getting married. I got married after a year of dating this woman called Heather, and I had no idea if it was gonna work. I had no clue. And yes, I was scared, but at the same time I was also excited and thrilled because I was in love with her. And we had an opportunity to build a life together. And the condition for us to be able to even see whether we could make a life together and to spend that time together was for me to be able to live in New York. Now, to be able to live in New York and spend that time together, I needed a visa. The only way I could get that visa was for us to get married. And so we decided to get married so that we could try to live together and build a family. And I remember everybody saying, hey, but aren't you scared? What if it doesn't work? I was like, well, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It'll be painful, it'll hurt, and believe me, when I realized it wasn't working and when I realized that we weren't on the same page, it was painful. It was so hard. I had like 6 months of fucking nightmare life where everything was miserable, everything was difficult. I didn't understand anything, and it forced me to question who I was, who I am, who I want to be. It forced me to kill past selves and to do the exercises that we talked about in the last 2 videos. And at the same time, I'm grateful that it happens, because that was one of the biggest learning experiences of my life. That was one of the moments I grew the most, was because of how difficult that failure was. So the bigger the failure, the more the growth. The more painful the failure, the more you realize how powerful you are and how much you can actually sustain. So once you finish the list of failures and what you would lose and why you're not doing them because of the pain, pick a few and try them. And try them until you fail. And when you fail, notice how it actually feels like and what is it that you're learning from the failure. I wish you a lot of fun, excitement, pains and struggles in the next step of your adult life as a child. Love you.